The story begins with a young woman who sees herself as a silent social outcast. No one openly ignores her, yet she can feel the weight of their lingering gazes. No matter how much she tries, she can never truly blend in. Also, whenever she makes eye contact with them, she can always sense mockery as if they are scorning her. Maybe they just mistook her for a walking statue, silent, still, and slightly creepy. Astonishingly, her isolated life lasts for 2 decades, and in a way, she has been living a cursed life. Currently, in April 2027, the young woman named Koharu Kanaba is 35 years old. It appears that she spends her dreary days stalking some people on the internet and snooping on their chats with a racing heart. So such snoop dogs are related to Courage the Cowardly Dog. One day, when she is busy snooping on someone named Nia and Haruko, her mother brings her some food. Suddenly, Koharu realizes that her mother has gotten a lot older, or maybe your eyesight has gotten weaker due to abnormal screen usage. Usually, she doesn't notice her mother much since by the time she checks on the door, her mother is already far away. Frantically, she wonders whether she always had a snowy crown. She tries to console herself that according to the internet, people in their 60s are usually healthy and fit. Yup, according to Google, 60 is the new 40. She coaxes herself that she is also in her 30s only, but a change of uncertainty about her well-being lingers. A terrible feeling strikes her that even though she has a long life ahead, her mother doesn't have much time left. A certain picture of her mother suddenly falling to death sends chills down her spine. In sheer anxiety, her mind keeps on telling her to go back, but practically that is impossible. If time travel were real, then all anti-aging cream companies would become bankrupt. On the spot, she decides to break her social hesitation and to be more communicative. She plans to talk about her favorite anime, games, and just anything to make new friends. On social media, she likes nearly all posts to get some attention. At this point, even spam bots started thinking she was one of them. Soon she finds someone named Naoto already keen to socialize. She guesses that maybe that person got a notification as he responded to her instantly. They immediately gel in together and then both decide to meet in person. Finding an instant friend online is either a miracle or a warning sign. Her parents are startled to see her finally out of her shell. She hesitantly mentions that she is going to meet a friend. She stammers, trying to convince her parents that once she meets that person, she hopes to be a part-timer later. Her parents are just shocked that she knows what outside looks like. Her parents gladly allow her to go. Soon she reaches a decided meeting spot and immediately spots a boy wearing the knit hat that he earlier mentioned in his DM so that she can identify him. She tries to gain his attention as he is busy glued to his phone, if ignoring people was an Olympic sport. He have at least 3 gold medals. Sweating uncontrollably, she confirms his name and then introduces herself. With great difficulty, she reminds him about their scheduled meeting. The guy scans her from head to toe, smirks, and then gets busy on the phone, so he practically ghosted her out. Koharu's eyes boggle and her mouth breaks into a sarcastic grin when she finds him staring at her like anyone else, but only this time he was pretending to be her friend. Without throwing her a second glance, he walks past her. But his acrid insult rings in her ears as he calls her a weirdo who cannot be befriended by him. At this point, she should just charge people for the free entertainment. Port Koharu is shattered as her disastrous past is ruthlessly dumped on her face again. She can still feel those mocking jeers stabbing her face and heart. Immediately, she flees from the scene heartbroken, unable to comprehend why mean things happened to her. In her frenzy, she falls off an under-construction bridge and hits the rocky surface. Brutally injured, Koharu is certain that this is her end. She desperately wanted to change her life, but couldn't understand where she went wrong. Basically, her whole life was buffering before her eyes when 2 angels brought her into this world and took pains to raise her, but she was heartlessly cast aside. She silently apologizes to her dear mother for being unable to transform, even in death. She feared getting judged tough life. Like a bolt in the blue, Koharu hears her mother's voice lashing her out for sleeping till late since it is nearly time for the entrance ceremony. Koharu is confused to find herself in a house instead of a hospital. As she sees a very younger version of herself in the mirror, she is completely taken aback to discover that she is very much alive. She was either dreaming, hallucinating, or had become the protagonist of a really weird anime. As she stares at her Rei. Flexion in disbelief, her mother yells at her for still being in pajamas. A uniform is tossed her way. She's a high schooler now. Later on a packed train, she remains skeptical about her appearance. Some things never change, teens full of themselves and always getting scolded. She cannot believe that she went through a drastic change. She wonders whether she has turned back time. As she flips over a vintage flip phone, she finds out that she has been transported to the year 2007, nearly 20 years from her current time. Goodbye, 2027. Hello, bad fashion choices and questionable haircuts. She never thought a conventional manga or anime-like situation would actually happen to her. Her thoughts are interrupted by an energetic lad referring to her as Coco. He expresses his curiosity about her prolonged absence. Koharu stares at him deeply and then remembers a chubby little boy who used to be her friend. She instantly recognizes him as Izumi, who used to be to her elementary schoolmate. Koharu recalls that throughout high school he was her only friend. She observes that he has changed a lot while puberty hit him like a truck and completely ignored her. Izumi mentions that he lost a lot of weight. Next, he considers himself fortunate to be in her high school. Koharu doesn't realize that rivers have started flowing out of her eyes, left tears of frustration or something else. Poor Izumi gets anxious, wondering whether he did something to make her cry. Koharu is crying because Izumi is talking to her, even being an outsider. When he gets more perplexed, she clasps her mouth, quickly declaring him to be the kindest person she knows. Face it, boy, she doesn't meet handsome boys daily. Izumi is still clueless about her blabbering. Even after they get off the train, he is concerned about her. In response, Koharu smiles, secretly pondering whether God is fulfilling her long-lost dream. Izumi shows her a victory sign and explains again about how fortunate he is being in the same class as her. Soon they both head towards their class. It strikes her whether this is really high school and everything has gone on repeat mode. Koharu is like, is it déjà vu, or am I stuck in some terrible hypnotic state? Still, she is unable to comprehend why she ended up alone and what happened to an overcaring friend like Izumi. As they enter the classroom, Izumi shouts out a big morning greeting. So when everyone stares at them in stupor, Izumi guesses that this is bound to happen on the first day of school, or maybe they are shocked to find him accompanying an alien. Unknown to him, all the individuals are mesmerized by his dashing looks. Meanwhile, he is slightly disappointed that he was unable to strive them up. Suddenly, a young girl approaches him and introduces herself as Yuko Machizuki. Izumi is relieved as finally, someone who isn't just staring like I'm a rare Pokémon. She shows immense interest in him, and that makes Koharu roll her eyes. Izumi notices that and instantly asks for her phone number. Koharu tries to avoid, but he is persistent. The mysterious girl was trying to play hard to get. He completely ignores Yuko and pulls out his phone to punch down the numbers. But for some reason, he is unable to get the hang of the phone, so he tells Koharu to wait a little. Koharu anxiously reminds him that homeroom is about to start, so they can always exchange phone numbers later. Poor Izumi's phone has betrayed him at the worst possible time. Others gossip about the duo as being completely misfit for each other. A deadpan Yuka is lost in her own thoughts. The next day, Koharu is delighted to see her younger self in the mirror, unable to believe that she is not in some fantasy dream. Nope, you are stuck in a pathetic marketing campaign for an anti-aging cream. She even checks out her thoughts, which are quite clear and tangible. She recalls her horrible accident and wonders whether she is in some coma-induced dream. Her jumbled-up thoughts are interrupted by her furious mother lashing out at her for being late again. Ah yes, back to reality and yelling. At school, she is bombarded with lots of trivial information and also about Izumi's immense popularity. As she gazes at the school building ahead, she wonders whether she had seen the school like this 30 years ago. She gazes at those carefree faces, confident about doing whatever they want. Also, she is very much relieved to be alive. Strangely, she can more relate to the school right now than before because earlier she spent most of her time looking at her feet. Wow, you missed out on so much, Koharu, like looking up. Izumi cheerfully shouts a greeting to his classmates, who in turn stare at him in sheer bewilderment. Both Izumi and Koharu are startled by the uncomfortable silence. Suddenly, someone shows him his graduation picture that leaked on the internet. Great, he has gone viral, and not in a cool way. It is also revealed that the picture is all over the bulletin boards. It is Yuka who burrs. TS into tears in front of him, wondering how anybody could be so cruel just 2 days after school started. Now this is called shedding crocodile tears. With glassy eyes, she assures him that she will always be on her side, and she will always be there to lend her ear to his issues. Meanwhile, Koharu is stunned at the conversation taking place in front of her. Suddenly, it strikes her that shortly after enrolling, the same thing happened in her previous life. Even at that time, she was on his side but then walked away from him, thinking that the bitterness was brought to him just because of her. Koharu's subconscious works like a vintage reel in a movie theater. She left him because she thought he was embarrassed by her. Currently, Izumi tries to sound cheerful, claiming that he cannot hide the fact that he used to be chubby before. Still, he is a little depressed about being scandalized like that. Cheer up, Izumi. At least they didn't find your baby pictures. Koharu scans through her phone and then finds a picture that clicks her head suddenly. In no time, her classmates receive a message from her. None of them can believe their eyes as they scroll through Koharu's wildest snaps, featuring her hanging out with a short, pudgy Izumi, a dude resembling a baseball bat and a ball. Even Izumi is stunned, but he confirms that the groovy girl in the pictures is indeed Koharu. As the class watches in confusion, Koharu confidently steps forward, proudly declaring, "Yes, that's us. Shoo away, hot girls, he's been my bestie since childhood." She then points out that everyone has changed since their younger days, so trying to shame them over it is pointless. With a smirk, she declares that if anything, this is a case for the court of justice. She threatens them to send letters to their parents about what they have been doing to their classmates. Hey, you've gone too far. No need for parental involvement here. It can be seen that an expressionless Yuko fidgets nervously. Quite firmly, Koharu points out that millions of yen spent by their parents on their education will all go to waste. Yuko is sweating out expensive fees. Our girl declares that she cannot live without her parents since she is financially dependent on them, so when she lives, she has to live according to them. Unconsciously, she recalls her past life, wasting away, doing nothing and burdening her elderly parents. Wait, she's still in her past life. She remembers how she crushed all their efforts, only realizing it when it was already too late. Next, she turns to Izumi to see whether he wants to file a defamation case in court. A good-natured Izumi refuses since he doesn't even want to report it to a teacher as well. He is smart, who wants the hassles of courtrooms and staff rooms. Koharu decides to drop the charges but still insists that whatever happened isn't ethical, as now the offender has to live with what they did secretly. She even offers to settle the matter by communication afterward. Yuko looks completely drained. It seems like Koharu has managed to stir her innermost chord. Koharu openly offers healthy talks to those people who are trying to hurt her. She feels that offenders always have hope since it is never too late, as regrets always make one a better person. Yep, do offense, apologize, and then do it again. The vicious cycle continues. Next, she declares the whole class as an overall offender since they kept the offense a secret. She urges all of them to individually apologize to Izumi in private. Now the poor guy will have to tend to a long, boring coup. Why Koharu, why? Lastly, she expresses her gratitude to the class for listening to her. Gradually, the whole class breaks into a hearty applause for her wonderful speech. Koharu has dumbfounded since she didn't see it coming. Wait, was she in at TED Talk now? Even Izumi is all starry-eyed as he excitedly predicts she will be a lawyer in the future. Koharu turns to Maida Red, clarifying that she just saw a related video on YouTube. Well, YouTube University works wonders. Next, she confirms with Izumi whether they will be good friends from now on, and he affirms readily. She flashes him a creepy smile while thanking him, leaving Izumi baffled and questioning if he said something weird. Poor guy, he's stuck with a mysterious package. Good luck, Izumi. Meanwhile, Koharu still wonders if she's trapped in a dream, but she's hopeful. Maybe this time she'll do what she never dared to before. Who knows, maybe she'll even win the lottery. Determined to change her bleak future, she holds on to that hope. Later, when the teacher asks for nominations for class representative, the room erupts into hushed whispers. One bespectacled boy suggests Koharu's name as the best candidate for the position. One by one, all the classmates vote in her favor. Koharu is completely shocked. She is like, wait, how did I get elected without campaigning? To her surprise, everyone raises their hands in her favor, including you. Koharu is tearful since, for the first time in her life, the big blockage of her high school life has been finally lifted. Izumi freaks out on seeing her crying and guesses innocently whether she is forced to become a CR. Told you, she is a mystery package. Later, when Koharu is walking down the corridor, someone calls her from behind. She turns around and is surprised to find their homeroom teacher, Ents Tanaka, wanting to talk to her. She mentions that she also requires a vice class rep and apologizes for informing her now. Great, now she gets to delegate stress to someone else. She explains that in this way, Koharu won't go through the hassle of attending every meeting. She wonders whether she knows someone trustworthy and urges her to make the decision as soon as possible. A fretful Koharu keeps on banning her mind about figuring out the right person for the position. If overthinking was a job, she would be CEO by now. Izumi is her obvious choice, but he is usually busy with club activities. She even thinks about having a class meeting, but then sinks into blues again, realizing that who would want to work with her directly. She is aware that she doesn't have any friends or people whom she can trust, and finding the right person will be so agonizing for her. Making friends is easy, until you actually try to do it. Suddenly she feels as if someone is secretly staring at her. She frantically looks around here and there but finds no one. She is quite puzzled, thinking that probably she is imagining things. No, this is what overthinking does. Unknown to her, a disturbed Yuko gazes at her from a distance and then walks away. Later that night, Koharu's mom calls her for dinner. Her parents are quite startled when she excitedly joins them and then recites grace before starting the meal. Breaking news. A teenager voluntarily interacts with parents. Next, she chews delightfully, heartily thankful for the freshly cooked warm meal. She realizes that when one is in high school, they don't reckon the good things they return to at home. For instance, having a hearty meal with their parents. She notices that the food tastes a lot better when having with family. She musters up her courage and expresses her gratitude to her mother for preparing such a delicious meal every day. Her mother is greatly puzzled and wonders whether she has left the dark cult of priests. When she expresses her ignorance, her mother makes a shocking revelation that before a meal she always prayed in German. What? She has been blessing her food in a foreign language this whole time. Later, a distressful Koharu plops on her bed, unable to hold her tears. She cannot believe how kind her mother has always been to her, despite her weird ways. Suddenly her phone buzzes and she is surprised to receive an email at this time. Emails at night. Either good news or a scam. It is Izumi wanting to call her. She instantly uprights herself, quickly responding to him. While waiting, she unconsciously stares at the cloudy dark sky and is curious whether normal high schoolers have ordinary nights like these, since they are usually found in groups, and here she is out romanticizing loneliness. Suddenly her phone blares definitely to classic melody, and an abashed Koharu realizes that her ringtone is set to Beethoven's Symphony No. 9. She quickly receives the phone, and when Izumi inquires about her present situation, she is flushed with awkwardness. Nothing says cool teenager like a 200-year-old ringtone. It occurs to her that she is a 35-year-old woman in reality and is being called by a youngster at this time of the night. She is drenched in sweat due to the guilty pleasure she is feeling right now. Meanwhile, Izumi is all flowers and stars when he hears her voice. Hold up. Is this a high school drama or a midlife crisis? However, a 35-year-old unemployed Koharu is going through a guilt trip, realizing that this is really a bad idea to respond to him. But then she gets a reality check that somehow even she is trapped in a 15-year-old's body at the moment. She hesitantly covers up her unease by mentioning that talking on the phone is quite different from meeting in person. Great, she sounds like a wise grandma trapped in a teenager's body. She inquires whether something happened. Izumi makes a pleasant revelation that the person who defamed him by posting his grad photos personally apologized through an email, along with the reason that made them commit such a crappy act. Next, he mentions that person's polite request to change from their worthless self. Yes, the classic "I ruined your life, but I've grown" speech. Izumi expresses his gratitude to her since all of this was made possible through her magical words. He's about to hang up after making his point, but Koharu surprisingly interrupts that the matter is not over yet. She explains that even if the matter gets cold, those who are targeted keep on hurting. In short, he can forgive, but he can't forget. Cringe, she stares aimlessly at the sky and mentions that the scars given by harsh words and behaviors are never healed. Izumi is bewildered to learn her thoughts. She keeps on probing him whether he is really okay with his defamation. No, I am just doing a crash course on emotional damage management. Izumi is deeply touched by her concern and the way she helped in that day. He declares that he will not forget her kindness in his whole life. He excitedly thanks her again and is about to blurt out the 3 magic words in his euphoric state, when in time he clasps his mouth, deeply ashamed by his thoughts, that moment when your brain is faster than your emotions. Koharu is very much confused about his abrupt silence. Unknown to her, Izumi slaps himself for even thinking of committing such a blunder. On the other side, Koharu suspects something is off. But the latter assures her that everything is fine, role reversal. Now he is acting like a mystery package. Soon, he hurriedly hangs up, and she guesses that maybe his parents arrived and he doesn't want to talk in front of them. A flush and slightly bruised, Izumi vows to be careful next time. Koharu is all charged up as she feels that talking to younger people electrifies her. She should put professional life coach on her resume. She makes up her mind that the next day she will greet the person sitting next to her. She even plans to put all her effort into making tons of friends so that in the end she can have an amazing, dazzling high school life. The next morning, while walking down the school, Izumi bombards her with a sudden query about whether she has a boyfriend, Easy Boy. Such pop-ups can give one a heart attack. Now that was quite unexpected for her, so the water spurted out of her mouth. She quickly refutes, believing that it is impossible and no one would like to have her even on the other side of the earth. Izumi playfully teases her for acting like an elementary schooler and states that it is really cool to have one. Breaking news, Boy gives terrible dating advice. He makes a shocking statement about her being quite popular. Koharu stares at him in disbelief, and he thinks she is being too humble as she was voted by the whole class to be the class rep with full confidence. Koharu mentions that since they hang out together so much, people probably think they are a couple, so there is no way anyone will approach her. So here the booking is strictly closed. Izumi gazes at her blankly as she opens her locker. Out of the blue, she finds a paper chit addressed to her, and it is written that someone will be waiting for her at 4 p.m. behind the gym. Both Izumi and Koharu are deeply puzzled by that enigmatic message, and here another mystery unfolds. Koharu jumps out of her skin in sheer fright, wondering whether someone is challenging her for a tussle. She gets panic attacks thinking that those she accused in her speech yesterday are probably trying to avenge her, as people tend to hold grudges. Izumi is concerned by seeing her reaction, and then calmly explains that somebody is trying to confess their feelings. It could be actually her long-lost twin sister or a very aggressive sales agent. But Koharu is not sure since she imagines someone confessing for a bet or to poke fun at her. She expresses her concern to him about her suspicion of being a victim of some cheesy truth or dare. A puzzled Izumi could not think of anyone being so vicious unless she had offended the school's cafeteria lady for her spaghetti. Next, she pictures herself getting strangled by a big bully, manipulated by some jealous lass, and exclaims that a strange person might want to confess to her then. Izumi is amused when she mentions that no normal confession can be made in front of her, or rather, no one would like to make any. Her self-esteem is running downhill at the speed of light. Still, she feels that problems may arise if she doesn't answer that message. Izumi assures her that if any unfortunate situation arises, he is just a call away. Instantly, Koharu pictures him rushing towards her, making the bully and his wench run away with his killer looks. However, he points out that if someone is there to make a serious confession, then he will not intrude. Great, now she's starring in an action romance movie in her head. Koharu is thoroughly relieved and expresses her gratitude for his thoughtfulness. Quite later, when school is over, Izumi is astonished to see Koharu rush out immediately. This is it. The moment when she either gets love or loses a kidney, Oharu walks firmly through the corridor, determined to take action. She decides to check the writer's appearance from a distance and then develop countermeasures. She plans to be a little later than her usual time to do excessive thinking. She is aware that she will face consequences for being late, but she is willing to take the risk because nothing says prepared like showing up late on purpose, as satisfied look appears on her face. See, since she has been planning this the whole day, she deduces from the message, "I'll be waiting," that the caller might arrive a few moments earlier than 4 p.m. so smartly, she decides to arrive half an hour earlier. She is prepared to face any penalty from the caller for her slackness. By the way, Koharu, the local police department, is looking for some shrewd cops. She is relaxed that if something worse happens, Izumi is there to back her up. Soon, a fully prepped up matcha woman Koharu arrives at the meeting spot, laced with her multi-layered approach. A shocked voice startles her. It belongs to none other than Yuko, who is fully alarmed to see her beforehand, both of them standing there like two characters in a detective drama who weren't expecting each other. There is an awkward silence between the two, with Yuko staring at an abashed Koharu quite grimly. Koharu breaks the ice by asking Yuko whether she called her to this place. When she affirms, a distressed Koharu's imagination starts running wild again, thinking that she is probably here to confess. Hold your horses, girl, she's probably here to ask for a pencil or a mafia deal. Yuko gets hysterical for being perceived incorrectly and then apologizes for her odd personality. She admits that she has a weird way of jumbling up her messages, which usually gives mixed signals to others. In her nervousness, she keeps on apologizing to Koharu without meeting her gaze. At this point, Koharu is debating whether this is a secret code for something. Koharu tells her not to apologize, as even she lacks communication skills, just like Yuko, and she can sense her feelings as well. Mustering up all her courage, Yuko confesses that she has been the main culprit all along, exposing Izumi's graduation pictures and throwing insults at her. She regrets her actions because Izumi has always been so kind to her. So this wasn't a love confession, it was a crime confession. A big realization came to her after Koharu's impressive speech that made her reflect on her wrongdoing. Yuko is left with nothing but regrets. She bows in front of her, expressing her gratitude and apology at the same time. The classic combo, sorry I ruined your life, but thanks for the TED Talk. After unburdening herself, Yuko hastily decides to leave a stunned Koharu behind. But abruptly, Koharu grabs her sleeve. Yuko tearfully begs her to let go, but Koharu pulls her into a tight embrace. Yuko is shocked beyond her imagination, but Koharu holds her close. Is this a forgiveness hug or a WWE move? Koharu makes a miserable confession that she has been scared all this time and wanted to give up. Next, she lauds her courage for showing up and talking to her. Yuko is unable to hold back her tears and breaks down, and just like that, this went from a crime drama to a heartfelt K-drama. After a while, upon discovering Yuko's keenness to change herself, Koharu offers her the position of vice class representative. She explains that sometimes she is unavailable to organize class events after school, so she would be glad to collaborate with her. Yuko stares at her in a stupor, so she guesses that Yuko is probably not confident in communication. Wait, the poor girl is still recovering from that shocking hug. Koharu grabs her hands in assurance, stating that the collaboration will work and that she trusts her completely. Rivers begin to flow from Yuko's eyes when Koharu declares that they both should change together. Later, Ms. Tanaka gleefully acknowledges their collaboration. She guesses that they must be getting along quite well since they both came to her holding hands. He and the teacher is shadowy sweet here. She specifies that Yuko will be reporting to Koharu. Both girls embarrassingly let go of each other's hands, realizing the awkwardness of the situation. Meanwhile, Izumi is curious about the outcome of Koharu's secret meeting, so he quickly messages her, "Sorry, Izumi, the place is taken. Snoop somewhere else now." The next morning, a starry-eyed Koharu checks out her phone and feels a sense of euphoria on finally acquiring some school friends on her contact list, namely Izumi and Yuko. She recalls that earlier her contact list only had family members and no one else. Suddenly, Yuko appears in front of her and she pleasantly greets her. She almost bows like she is meeting the queen, but thankfully she stops herself just in time. Quite hesitantly, Yuko wonders whether Koharu would like to go out with her on Sunday. Koharu readily agrees, and they decide to discuss the details later. Yuko leaves, stating that she is really looking forward to their meetup. Koharu nods, but internally she's already panicking about what to do for 5 whole hours in public. The whole time, Koharu is perturbed about their get-together, wondering what they will be doing. Still, she feels that uncanny joy is finally, she will be going out like a normal high schooler. She is anxious to pick out clothes for their girly date. She remembers her wardrobe screams fashion disaster louder than a fire alarm. Later, when she checks out her bizarre outfit consisting of a newspaper print t-shirt with an enormous danger sign pasted in front, along with a tattered mismatched pair of bottoms, she groans in misery since all the clothes in her closet are super cringed and male-oriented. She wonders whether she had been this cheesy in her past life. She suddenly remembers that she has some cash from New Year's and she can spend it on new clothes. It's either buy new clothes or show up looking like an escaped circus performer. She boils in frustration since she is completely clueless about where they will be heading to, like a karaoke bar, bowling alley, or a game center. Also, she is not aware of this new place. In her previous life, she had never been an extrovert and didn't know what lies outside. She had lived by one rule. If it's not on my way to school, it doesn't exist. She literally freaks out upon realizing that websites for the above places didn't exist in 2007 when things weren't fully digitized. She gets panic attacks thinking that she is completely unaware of getting into those places. She nearly has a nervous breakdown wondering if she is thrown out or not allowed to enter. "Sorry, ma'am, we don't allow time travelers from 2027. She imagines the bouncer saying she cannot bear humiliating herself in those hip places, but then recalls how Yuko is looking forward to their date. Quite later, she decides to call Izumi, who is taken aback by her sudden call. He anxiously wonders about her well-being, Koharu calling first. Something is either very wrong or the world is ending. An abashed Koharu requests him to explain how kids nowadays normally spend time when they are out with friends. Izumi finds her question quite puzzling, so she reveals that Yuko and she are going out on Sunday, and she is completely clueless about it. She expresses her anxiety that if she remains ignorant, she will embarrass everyone. If you are so tech-savvy, then there is a thing called Hoogle. She requests him to teach her basic communication tactics. Izumi smiles and suggests going out the next day for a rehearsal. Koharu was not expecting this, so she confirms with him whether he will be spending time with her the next day. Wait, so this is a practice hangout for a real hangout. Are there exams too? Izumi affirms, mentioning that he will show her around the karaoke bar and the gaming arcade. Next, she wails about her other woe like every finicky teenager. She has nothing to wear. He assures her that he will help her pick out suitable outfits. Koharu's social life is nearly exploding. He quickly devises a plan that they will meet the next day at 10 a.m. at the train station closest to the school. Koharu excitedly agrees and expresses her gratitude. Izumi's sister has been eavesdropping on their conversation, and she expresses her curiosity. The nosy Parkers are present everywhere like mosquitoes. Izumi explains that Koharu is the only friend he had in elementary school and they are going out the next day. Next, he wonders whether she has any fashion magazines. His sister condemns him for being annoying the whole time and then sweetly asking for favors. "Oh, so now you need me. Where was this energy when I asked you to do the dishes?" She demands something nice in return. On the other hand, Koharu loses her marbles again, realizing that her super cringe clothes are the only one she has for her meetup with Izumi the next day. However, Izumi is having delicious dreams about his almost date with Koharu the next day. Meanwhile, she is having nightmares about wearing that newspaper shirt in public. The next morning when Koharu reaches the station, she finds Izumi already waiting for her. She embarrassingly shows herself in a baggy sweatshirt with bizarre monos and sleeve designs along with loose-fitted pants. Surprisingly, Izumi appears awestruck by her sense of style, which is just like she was back then. Either he really appreciates nostalgia or his eyesight needs immediate medical attention. Still, she apologizes for dressing like a clown to meet him. However, Izumi insists that those clothes suit her. Koharu knows that he doesn't mean it, but she will reform her wardrobe anyway. Step 1 to upgrading her wardrobe. Never let Izumi compliment her fashion choices again. Still embarrassed about her appearance, she loudly thanked him in advance. Izumi stares at her for a moment and then announces that he won't let this rehearsal be a drag, but they will have fun together. Next, they walk into a departmental store where a sales lady welcomes them. Koharu's battle with social anxiety begins now. Boss level, a friendly store employee, Koharu becomes a nervous wreck and finds finding difficult to talk to the lady. Izumi helps her by pointing out that buying outfits off the display or with help is completely normal. Shivering uncontrollably out of fear, she presents a stack of banknotes to the lad, explaining that she is unaware of the prices, as sales lady just met a rare species, the take all my money customer. Next, she begs the lady to help her out in this dilemma. Within the blink of an eye, the ordinary woman becomes a dazzling superwoman ready to help her out. A relieved Koharu has never found anyone so beautiful. Forget fashion advice, this woman deserves a cape and a theme song. In no time, Koharu is dressed like a doll in overalls, thigh highs, baggy jeans, and a trench coat in separate rounds. The sales lady enthusiastically insists that all outfits fit her like a glove. When she is done, the sales rules are all worn out, but being professional is their duty, and I don't blame them. They survived a hurricane named Koharu. As soon as she comes out of the trial room, Izumi is bedazzled by her amazing transformation. He exclaims in delight, lauding her new look and claiming that it suits her better. Koharu apologizes for keeping him waiting for so long and also feels famished. The real challenge, finding a way to eat without spilling on her brand new outfit. He suggests that they eat at the karaoke bar, which offers mostly snacks. Izumi is oblivious to the admirable glances thrown towards him by young, throbbing hearts, so the background extras are forming an unofficial fan club for Izumi. After a while, they hit the gaming arcade. She's stunned to see an enormous number of plushie characters to be given as rewards. He diligently wins a game and presents a plushie to her. As she hugs the soft toy affectionately, he watches her happily, the real winner here, the plushie now getting unlimited cuddles. While enjoying other games, he questions her about her day. An electrified Koharu exclaims that she feels a lot energized and now understands why people love going out. As night falls, they head home and she had so much fun that she didn't realize time passed so quickly. Thankfully, she has officially joined the Leading the House Isn't That Bad club. Her mind is still boggling around as she can still hear the sounds of arcade in her head. A perturbed Zumi offers that next time they can go to a quieter place, but she quickly refuses, stating that she feels like she has been in a happy dream forever. She continues that she had so much fun buying clothes and trying her best to communicate, so no more fairy tales. Koharu's version of a dreamland includes neon lights and claw machines. The best part is that she is able to share the beautiful time with him. A dumbfounded Izumi stares at her. They both walk so close to each other that their hands nearly brush against each other. Movie moment alert, slow motion, romantic music, everything. In the heat of the moment, he blurts out that he doesn't want to go home. As soon as those words come out of his mouth, he clasps it tightly with his hand. While she stares at him, shocked, she anxiously probes him whether he doesn't like it there, alert. Hitting mystery mode activated. He gazes at her agonizingly. She fretfully tries hard to recall what actually happened to Izumi and whether he had unusual circumstances at home that she wasn't aware of. As she knocks her brains out, Izumi, on a sudden impulse, tries to kiss her. The romance meter just hits 100%, but reality decides to crash the party. But an ignorant Koharu jumps excitedly at getting a call from Yuko, and realizes that she has received 8 emails from Yuko. Poor Azumi is unconsciously tossed back into the air. Quite humiliated, he calls out to her to end their meeting here. Nothing kills the mood like an inbox explosion from your bestie. He blurts out with a forced smile that there is nothing wrong with his home and she shouldn't be concerned. She is shocked at his sudden outburst, but then gets busy with Yuko's call. She apologizes to her for not responding earlier and begins to plan their meeting the next day. Told you, Azumi, you're the second fiddle here. Meanwhile, a flushed Izumi runs away as far as he can from her. But then, at one point, he turns around to glance at her, happily chatting away. Their gazes meet and she mouths a big thank you to him while waving wildly. He stares at him with glassy eyes and the waves back frivolously. Somewhere in the distance, his broken heart is playing the world's tiniest violin. Izumi races off without turning back. He is very upset by the sudden attack made unconsciously by Koharu despite having a crush on her. Meanwhile, a relaxed Koharu is bonding well with Yuko. She explains that she isn't ignoring her, but just rehearsing about how to get along with her efficiently. Meanwhile, a distressed Izumi is rehearsing how to recover from emotional damage. Sunday arrives when Koharu is all decked up to meet Yuko and gives the whole credit to Izumi for prepping her up and making her devise a flawless layout for the day. She recalls the fun things she did yesterday while he was coaching her about many new things. She decides to give a whole hip experience to Yuko in return and has planned for a movie followed by a trip to the photo booth. Koharu is now officially the CEO of Friendship Planet Inc. But when Yuko arrives, she gets her first panic attack dramatized by a sudden gust of wind. Even Yuko is slightly jittery because she will be having her very first high school girls' day out with Koharu. Koharu cheerfully greets her, awed by Yuko's adorableness. Meanwhile, the wind is clearly auditioning for a dramatic anime opening scene. Soon they decide to head towards the movies. Soon they select the most happening movie whose novel sold like hotcakes. Koharu is super excited to see its movie adaptation, although she's already prepared to yell. The book was better halfway through the film. The girls are shocked to see a mob in front of the ticket counter. Yuko decides to get some snacks and instructs Koharu to get them the seats. She plans to get a large popcorn for them to share, and then Koharu mentions that she would like oolong tea to go with it. Koharu dives into the sea of moviegoers, rudely pushed by someone from behind. Meanwhile, Yuko instructs her to email if she gets the seats. Koharu is yelled at by the same obnoxious person for standing in his way. Some people are born to ruin movie nights. Poor Koharu cannot help it since the whole place is jam-packed. Her eyes sparkle in excitement when she finally makes it to the ticket counter. Also, she feels that she is confident enough to communicate with the counter person and intends to get the best seats for Yuko. Little did she know, she was about to experience the ultimate betrayal, front row FEATS to her disappointment. Only some single seats and a double seat in the front row are available. Later, the girls are seated in front of the big screen, having a lot of difficulty watching the movie. Quite anxiously, she notices that Yuko is not talking to her, so she plans to apologize to her later. By the way, it's hard to have a conversation when your neck is at a 90-degree angle. When a fight scene comes in which a character rapidly shoots out bullets, Koharu panics due to the blaring noise and accidentally knocks over the large popcorn tub on the floor. She miserably whispers an apology to Yuko, and the latter helps her clear some of it. Yuko suggests not eating the spilled popcorn and just putting the bucket on the floor. Yuko is like, there goes $1,000,000 popcorn ruined by obnoxious noise pollution. Next, they continue with the movie. But Koharu notices that she is unable to concentrate on the movie and her mind delves into a flashback. It was her second day of the field trip, and everyone in the class was told to form groups and do whatever they would like to do together. Koharu also formed a group with 3 other people, and one of them bossily mentioned that since they lived here, they would decide what to do. Democracy. Never heard of it. Koharu pulled out a manual stating that even she had done some research on the place before they came, and some of the places had bad reviews. The members stared at her as if she were from some other planet, and then a boy rudely snatched away the manual from her hand. They went through it, mocking every word and calling her a goofball. Congratulations, Koharu. You have unlocked the rare skill being too prepared. She hesitantly insisted that she actually worked on it beforehand, but the group distanced her, deciding to read the atmosphere instead. They suggested she do nothing as she was useless. She is brought back from that humiliating memory by Yuko, who informs her that the movie has reached the end. The real horror movie was Koharu's past trauma. It is pouring cats and dogs when they come out of the movie complex. Yuko reveals that the whole day she has been flustered. Also, she couldn't comprehend the movie as well. An abashed Koharu throws a sneaky glance at her thinking how the trip didn't go as smoothly as she planned. Yup, rehearsals are not enough. 1 or 2 final exams are a must. She weakly lets out an apology when Yuko yells and curses at some random boorish guy who earlier misbehaved with Koharu. She furiously hoped that he would die. Coincidentally, the same guy passes by them, and an unaware Yuko keeps on throwing insults at him. That guy just unlocked a new fear, Yuko's wrath. Later, she apologizes, lushing furiously, thinking that she went quite overboard. To Yuko's astonishment, Koharu burst into a fit of laughter, proclaiming that Yuko was so polite while lashing out at the guy. Next, she admits that even she didn't catch that nonsensical movie so well. Who needs the movie when the real entertainment is happening outside? She pours out her heart that whenever she tries to do something right, she always fails. Yuko consoles her that her intentions are never ill and sometimes things are so unexpected. Both stare at each, sharing that magical moment, and then burst into blooming smiles, the award for Best Accidental Comedy duo goes to these two. Instantly, Yuko hovers her coat over her head and insists they should start running toward the arcade for the photo booth. Koharu follows and both trot toward the arcade in the downpour, making funny sounds and mischief. On reaching the photo booth, Koharu confesses to Yuko that at first she thought she had to act skillfully to enjoy their meetup. Life lesson. Overthinking is the enemy of fun. Yuko acts as if Koharu has grown horns. Even Koharu admits that saying that aloud seems so ridiculous to her now. However, now she has realized that it is very important to do whatever one's heart desires and create a long-lasting, memorable experience. She expresses her gratitude to Yuko for staying put with her all their trip. Flushingly, Yuko suggests that they should put all their feelings in the photo instead of announcing them on their faces. So now they are certified besties, minus Izumi. The next morning, when Koharu opens her pencil box, her face breaks into a dazzling smile when she glances at the beautiful photo of Yuko and herself, tagged best friends, reminding her that they should do their movie trips together often. And thus, the tradition of chaotic yet heartwarming movie trips is born.